It's 18:01 a.m. You said something earlier today, maybe at work, maybe to a friend. Maybe it wasn't even important, but your brain won't let it go. You're rewinding it, playing it back, changing the words, hearing how it must have sounded to them. And somewhere in that loop, you feel it, a low, quiet shame. Not anxiety, not fear, shame. And that distinction, that one word, changes everything. If you've ever lain awake, running a conversation through your mind, like footage from a crime scene, you know how exhausting it is. Not just the lack of sleep, the weight of it. The way it follows you into the next morning. The way a perfectly fine Tuesday gets infected by something you said on Monday. Most people call this overthinking, and the internet will tell you to just stop, breathe, let it go, be present. But here's what they don't tell you. That advice assumes the loop is driven by anxiety, by a fear of what might happen. But for many people, the loop isn't about the future at all. It's about something that already happened inside of you, a micro moment where you felt less than, exposed, wrong, foolish, too much, or not enough is shame. And shame doesn't respond to breathing exercises. It doesn't dissolve with mindfulness because shame isn't a thought, it's an identity signal. Here is what I want you to understand. You are not broken for doing this. You are not weak. You are not neurotic, too sensitive. The replaying is not a malfunction. It is your mind doing exactly what it was designed to do, trying to protect you. The problem isn't the loop itself. The problem is what's underneath the loop. And until you understand what's underneath, no amount of just stop thinking about it will ever work. Because you can't logic your way out of a wound you haven't named yet. In the 1960s, psychologist Sylvan Tompkins identified shame as one of the primary human affects, a biological signal, not just an emotion. Later, neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux showed us that emotional memories, especially ones tied to self-perception, are processed through the amygdala before the rational brain ever gets involved. What does that mean in plain language? It means the moment you felt exposed in that conversation, your brain filed it, not as a memory, as a threat. And here is where the loop begins. Your brain, specifically the default mode network, the part that activates when you're not focused on a task, begins a search process. It's looking for resolution. It's asking, was I safe in that moment? Did they think less of me? Was I enough? But shame, unlike fear, doesn't have a clean resolution. Fear says the danger is gone, you can relax. Shame says the danger is you. And so the loop continues because the search never finds what it's looking for. Psychologist June Price Tangney, who spent decades studying shame, found that shame triggers what she called the hiding response, a neurological and social impulse to shrink, disappear, or retroactively rewrite what happened. And replaying the conversation, that is the hiding response in disguise. It's your mind rehearsing a version of events where you don't feel small. So what do you actually do with this? Not 5 habits, not a morning routine, just 5 honest principles rooted in how the brain actually works. 1. Name the shame, not the event. When the loop starts, don't ask, why did I say that? Ask, what part of me feels exposed right now? This is the difference between analyzing the conversation and meeting the wound underneath it. Psychologists call this affect labeling. Research by Matthew Lieberman at UCLA shows that simply naming an emotion reduces activity in the amygdala and restores access to rational thinking. The loop is fueled by vagueness. Name the feeling precisely and watch the loop begin to slow. 2. Separate the story from the signal. The conversation is the story, the shame is the signal, and the signal is never really about what happened at lunch today. It's usually about something much older, a voice from childhood, a pattern you learned before you had words for it. When you catch yourself in the loop, Ask, does this feeling feel familiar? Because if the shame feels disproportionate, it probably is. It belongs to an earlier version of you that needed it. You don't. 3. Stop trying to resolve the loop with more thinking. This is the trap. You think, if I just analyze it enough, I'll find peace. But the loop feeds on engagement. Neuroscientist Dr. Judson Brewer's research on habit loops shows that curiosity, gentle, non-judgmental noticing, disrupts compulsive thought patterns far more effectively than suppression or analysis. Don't fight the loop. Get curious about it. Interesting. There it is again. That small shift from resistance to observation changes your relationship to the thought without forcing it away. 4. Give your brain the resolution it's looking for. Your brain loops because it can't file the experience as complete, so close the loop consciously. Write one sentence about what happened. Say it out loud to yourself, or simply say, that moment is over. I survived it. This isn't toxic positivity. It's somatic completion, giving the nervous system a signal that the threat has passed. Even if the shame was real, even if you did stumble, the moment is over and you are still here. 5. Build shame resilience, not just self-esteem. Self-esteem asks, am I good enough? Shame resilience, a concept developed by Brené Brown, asks something different. Can I be imperfect and still belong? These are not the same question. High self-esteem doesn't protect you from shame loops, but shame resilience does because it removes the condition. You stop needing the conversation to have gone perfectly in order to feel safe in your own skin. Here is the one mental model I want you to leave with. Think of shame as a smoke alarm in your house. When the alarm goes off, most people run around trying to silence it. They overthink, they replay, they argue with the sound. But the alarm isn't the problem. The alarm is telling you something is burning somewhere.